Wine tasting. In regards to tasting, there are definitely three components that you look for. First and foremost is going to be sight. Then comes the smell or the bouquet, and then of course actually having the wine on the palate as well. To break down the sight. First and foremost, the clarity is something I look for, how the light reflects through the wine. I think the clarity can tell you a lot about the quality of the wine. You always look for the color as well. For example, I always look at core color concentration and how it fades out. If it has rim variation, then you can tell it's a slightly older wine. I also look at viscosity. That's going to be brought out mainly from the tears of the wine. A lot of people will talk about the legs or the tears. I'll look for staining in the tears. That's going to kind of tell me how concentrated the juice is. Then my favorite part is actually smelling the wine, or the nose, which is the second component. There's a really quick acronym that I like to use. I just look for a few things in the wine. FFEW is what I use. First and foremost is fruit. I look for several different types of fruit. I try to pick out at least 3 primary fruits, as well as a couple secondary fruit aromas. For example, if it's a white wine, I'll look for like orchard fruit first, apples and pears. Secondary fruit aromas you can find are, for example, citrus notes, be it lime, Meyer lemon, grapefruit rind, things of that nature. The other F is kind of used for flowers and other aromas. So for example, like lilies, gardenias, other possible aromas could be like vegetal notes in the wine, or herbaceousness characters, or bell pepper characters in the case if we're talking something like a Cabernet or Cab Franc. The E is what I use as an acronym for earthiness, looking for mineral components in the wine. For example, fresh soil, muddled earth, limestone, slate, anything that can kind of tell me, for example, where the wine necessarily is from, but also the terroir and the representation of the region where the wine is from. The W is standing for wood. I'll look for like oak factors in the wine. For example, baking spices, vanilla, clove, cinnamon, tobacco, chocolate. All those kind of notes are going to tell you in regards to how the barrel was toasted or how much new oak was used with the wine. Kind of a lot to remember, so I just use that acronym FEW, and it's very, very easy, looking for a few things in the nose of the wine. On the palate, there's a whole nother, it's kind of hard to have an acronym for it, but it's TAAFC are the things that I look for. First and foremost, when you get the wine on the palate, you want to confirm everything beforehand. So you talk about the taste from before, the fruits, the flowers, the earth, the wood, but when it comes down to the structure and on the palate, TAAFC, it's tannin. So how does, and tannin is one of those components where you feel it on the tongue, like does it make your tongue shrivel up? And one of the things that took me a long time to learn is the difference between acid and tannin. Tannin is where your tongue shrivels up, and acid is you're going to felt on the side of your mouth, and that's going to almost make you salivate. So T is for tannin, A is for acid. The second A is alcohol. How much alcohol is in the wine? A lot of times if you exhale, like does it burn your throat? If it's burning your throat, it's probably going to be pretty high in alcohol. Alcohol indicators will also tell you exactly where the wine is from. Typically, higher end Bordeaux's, California Cabernets are going to have that higher end of alcohol, as opposed to something like a Pinot Noir is going to be just usually a little less. Okay, then F is the next one. I look for finish. How does the wine finish? Does it linger on the palate? Is it long? Do I still taste it after I exhale? Finish is one of those, is like the wine's final say in your experience. It's like after you've looked at it, you appreciate it, you smell it, you're anticipating the wine itself, and then you get it on the palate. The finish, just how does it leave you feeling? And then the final component is C, is complexity. Complexity is the overall experience of the wine, how in-depth it is, and complexity and balance to me. I always throw kind of those two together is what I generalize my final product on. How complex the wine was, from the nose to the palate to the finish and to how beautiful it was together, how complex was that wine. So it's kind of drawn out, but in regards to tasting, those are those things that I typically look for. But if you want to hit the major points, just remember nose or sight, nose, and then on the palate. Well, complexity in a wine, I think, is one of those where it's a little bit difficult to define because it means, I think, different things for everybody. Possibly on a standard sommelier test, they would ask for, in regards to how complex the wine was it easier to pick out descriptors and aromas? Was it? But for me, complexity, I think, is a little bit more. Whenever, if I'm picking up a wine and I'm smelling, I'm getting all these different aromas, these herbs, these teas, these fruits, these earths, these stones. To me, that's a complex wine. And if it has a lot going on in the glass, to me, the simple thing is, if it's got a lot going on, then the wine is complex. If it doesn't have a lot going on, then the complexity is lower. That's it in a nutshell for me. But I think it could be so much more than just that simple explanation. But yeah, I think as far as what the Guild is looking for complexity is there a lot going on in the glass?